Kirtan ki jai. Nama Acharya Haridasa Thakura ki jai. Gaur Nitai ki jai. Hare Krishna. Om Jnanatimirandasya Ganjana Shalakya Chakshurnatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Shvayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyascha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Today we'll continue with the unlimited pastimes of Haridasa Thakura and his services. And yesterday, it was mentioned already, we covered one pastime and a few other various interactions with Lord Chaitanya and other devotees. Today we're going to move on, and after Haridasa Thakura left Benapal, this is a painting of Haridasa Thakura leaving Benapal and leaving behind Hirabai to stay in that place, Lakshya Hirabai, to chant, carrying on exactly as he'd done in her own way, you could say, in that spot, chanting the holy name. So that's Lakshya Hirabai there, sitting in front of Tulsi Devi with her bead bag in her hand. Sometimes devotees thought that was Haridas, but it's not. Haridas is walking away in the distance, and he moves on. He travels then, leaves that district, which is now in Bangladesh. He moves westwise towards Navadvip. But there's no absolute chronology. There's a general chronology, but it's not absolute. But generally the next known pastime or revealed pastime is when he came to the village of the Majumdars, Govardhan and Hiranya Majumdar. They were devotees, but they were considered to be slightly materialistic, a little attached to their position and their wealth, etc. They were very wealthy. They had a son, his name was, famous son, Raghunath Das, later Raghunath Das Goswami. Haridas came to their village where they were residing, and they had a priest. His name was? No, he was one of their employees. Balaramacharya. They had a priest who was a great devotee, and he actually met with Haridas and invited Haridas to come to their residence to speak about the glories of the holy name. So Haridas came there, very happy, to get the opportunity to speak about the glories of the holy name, which he did. And he particularly mentioned that merely by namabhas, not even pure chanting, just by namabhas, one can easily attain liberation and freedom from all sinful reactions. Now, I can't see from here, but is there, who's there? Now, Rupanuga Mice does not speak very good English. He's getting better every day. He might need some type of translation. Will you be the one, or will Ananta be the one? Is Ananta here? Who would be best? Or somebody else? Or nobody. If he's happy like this, I'm happy like this also. You ask him, Rupanuga. So, yes. A statement we find many times in Shastra. Haridasa Thakura qualified his statements from Shastric statements also. Oh, Ekanath is there too at the back. That's even better. Thank you, Ekanath. Are you going to translate for mice, or what's happening here?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, sorry, I thought that's what was happening. You decide what you all want to do. And there was one person in the assembly there who didn't like what he heard. He didn't agree with it. It happened to be, somebody mentioned his name just now. Who said that? Who was that personality? Somebody mentioned his name. Gopal Chakravarti. Gopal Chakravarti was a young Brahmin who was somehow or another employed by the Majundaras in their occupational businesses. And he was a little puffed up, you could say. He was very proud of being a Brahmin, and normally known as Smarta Brahmin, very attached to caste, that only Brahmins are qualified to speak the Vedas and so on, as teachers. Very common doctrine in India even today. So he got very upset, as you may know, and he said, "How is this possible? How is this possible? Come on! Are you getting a bit fooled by this person, this low-class person who's come here? Who does he think he is? He's just outcast. Who does he know about the Vedas?" There's a similar incident, actually. It took place in a village called Harinadi. And the same kind of thread. License is not there, but more or less they're exactly the same pastime. Even over at Lapit, maybe it was, but it wasn't. It was a separate village. That village was in Bangladesh. And there the same thing happened. Caste Brahmins challenged Haridasa in the same way. And they said, "What is this? This is a symptom of the age of Kali? It's supposed to be at the end of Kali Yuga that even the Shudras will be so-called reciting the Vedas. But we see it's already happening now. That a man lower than a Shudra thinks he can explain the Vedas. This is nonsense." He got quite offensive. And he was very angry. He said, "Okay, Haridasa, if this is true what you say, if it's not true, I will cut your nose off. I will cut your nose off." Haridasa said, "Oh, my dear sir, if it's not true, you don't need to do that. I will cut my own nose off." Everyone went, "What is this? Get this man out of here, quick!" They chased Balaram out of the assembly. "Get out of here!" They fired him on the spot. "You offender, we've all blasphemed. We've heard blasphemy." They were all devastated, you know. I said, take no concern. He's just a young boy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's a little frivolous. He was very handsome, by the way. He had a beautiful nose, beautiful ears. His features were very attractive. I just thought nothing of it and just carried. He moved on, but everyone was feeling so bad they told him never come back again, but they weren't feeling very happy. So Haridasa left from that spot and moved on his way. Now I'm going to ask you a few questions. What do you learn from? Do you learn anything from this? Don't blaspheme, okay. That's a pretty good one. I mean, it's a pretty good one to learn. Don't do it. Don't blaspheme a devotee of the Lord. Okay, first offense against the holy name. Yes?
Stay calm even though you're being agitated.
Okay. Haridasa Thakura was not disturbed. He didn't become angry. He left the place. He wasn't angry with the Brahmin. Everyone else was. Rightly so. Anything else?
Don't judge a person by the class.
Don't what?
Don't judge them by their class, their caste system.
Okay, very good. Don't judge people by their caste. That's a very important lesson here. One of the main lessons of Lord Chaitanya's mission. Yes?
Yeah,
same thing?
Not judging a devotee by class.
Yeah. External. Judging externally only. Anything else? There's one extremely big lesson, which I haven't mentioned. I'm just thinking if you could move forward. I haven't actually mentioned it. But it's one of the biggest lessons to be learned in this whole pastime.
don't know if this is the right answer or not, but the offence was amplified by the fact that he did it in public.
Okay, this is the point. Now, you will find that after a couple of days after this event, Gopal Chakravarti, who threatened to cut the nose off of Haridas, his own nose started to melt and fell off. He got leprosy. His ears melted, his fingers melted, his toes. He was covered in leprosy. He was totally shattered, physically. Haridasa Thakur forgave him. Isn't that what you're supposed to do if you commit an offence? You have to go to... Of course, he didn't exactly go to him, but he actually completely forgave him anyway. So it just is taking this as the example which is given. You can read it if you want in this little book here called Namacharya by Rupert Vilas. But he forgave him. But that wasn't enough. The Lord didn't forgive him. Why? Because what Radharaman Prabhu said. It wasn't just like I come up to you and say, you're just a nonsense rascal. You're a thief. You're not a thief, but you are. I say you're a thief. And then you realize, like, yeah, I'm not a thief. And you say, oh, please forgive me, Prabhu. I made a mistake. You're not a thief. Okay, I forgive you. Finished. But that wasn't the case here. He wasn't forgiven. Because he publicized it in public, or he spoke it in public. When you criticize and blaspheme, whatever, a devotee or the Lord in public, it's not enough just to go to the person you're directing your blasphemy to. That doesn't work. What do you have to do? Other than Radharaman, what else? What do you have to do?
Publicly apologize.
On the same forum that you publicly offended. Now, in the case of Gopal, that wasn't a very big forum, actually. In our modern world today, you know what the forum is, don't you? What's the forum in our modern society? In most cases, not obviously not all, but in many, many cases, what's the forum? What's that mean?
Mobile phone? Social media?
Oh, you got it. Social media, isn't it? What do you think?
Yes.
Pretty tough, isn't it? It's tough enough to ask forgiveness from the one person, but to publicly declare, I was wrong, I'm an offender, whatever it takes, you know, it caused you so much pain, so much disturbance in your life. You know, do with me as you wish. It's not just saying, forgive me and think this over either. There's two sides to it. There's got to be also a repentance, not just, Prabhu, forgive me, I didn't mean to say it, sorry about that. And life goes on. It doesn't work. There's got to be a genuine repentance within our heart. That's a tough one, isn't it? Otherwise, we're still suffering the reaction from that. Maybe it's a good start to even mechanically say, forgive me, but it's not enough. So that's the lesson, a big lesson from that pastime, plus the other ones you've mentioned. We move on, because time is very short. Haridasa Thakur then proceeded on to Shantipur, where we heard a little bit yesterday, and there's many pastimes we won't touch upon. But he stayed with Advaita Acharya for some time. They were in ecstasy with each other's association. They both searching for pure devotee association. One thing I failed to mention was when Haridas was in the home of Majundas, Raghunath Das was a young boy. Young boy, very young. So as I say, there's not really a chronological order here. That particular pastime had taken place during Lord Chaitanya's youth also. Although Haridas had not met Lord Chaitanya at that moment. But that pastime took place because Raghunath was younger than Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya was already on the planet at this point. Other pastimes which were mentioned indicate that Lord was not on the planet at the time because they're not in chronological order. So at that time, Haridas Thakur gave his association to Raghunath, who very much took so much inspiration and direction from Haridasa Thakur. So in one sense, Haridasa Thakur was like his Siksha Guru as a young child in Raghunath Das's life. Very special. He had a lot of interaction, as we heard yesterday, with Rupa and Sanatan, and also with Raghunath Das. So there's a most elevated of all the Goswamis and followers of Lord Chaitanya, practically speaking. So we can understand the level of Haridasa Thakur. Whether before or whether after, anyway, he was with Advaita Acharya in Shantipur. Many pastimes were there, with the cave, with a snake. You know, you may have heard all these pastimes. The Shradapatra, and we heard the other day about them together praying for Lord Chaitanya's appearance. But we're going to tell probably the most famous pastime, probably at that time. And we're going to fast track forward. We're going to fast track forward now when Lord Chaitanya had returned from his initiation from Ishvarapuri in Gaya. After Lord Chaitanya accepted formal initiation from Ishvarapuri, when he returned back to Navadvip, Mayapur, Lord Chaitanya was like a different person, right? In his early life, Lord Chaitanya was concealing his inner purposes, even his external purposes, basically. Some of his inner purposes were manifest unknowingly to others, in the sense that he was enjoying cowherd boy pastimes, youthful pastimes with his students, who were none other than his associates from Goloka, who appeared as students in his school and around him. They were enjoying childhood pastimes, but that wasn't the real purpose of his coming into this. It's okay, manifesting his pastimes in this world, that wasn't the real purpose. But nonetheless, that period was there, increasing the intensity of the devotees' desire, you could say, for the Lord to become a devotee in their eyes. So when after initiation, he was like a new person, and he really was personification of the topmost devotee. He promised this before he went to take initiation, that you will see what kind of devotee I am, like you've never seen before. And when he came back, he was surely that devotee. And everyone was in ecstasy, or at least the devotees were in ecstasy, not everybody. But we saw last night that some people were not in ecstasy about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's blissful devotional nature. There's one of the fellows who's sitting right in front of me here who wasn't very happy. The other one's there's another one at the back there as well. I hope they're not going to cause any problems this morning. I hope they're going to behave themselves nicely. So, then of course the Sankirtan, external one started too. Lord Chaitanya was internally experiencing, but externally also distributing the Sankirtan, the love of Godhead, through the Sankirtan mission. So at that time, as we did mention the other day, actually, we didn't go into it, Haridasa Thakur came there with Advaita Acharya in Mayapur, in the house of Srivas Pandit, where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was having every night nocturnal kirtans. They would lock the doors and only pure devotees were allowed in. You're okay, you're a pure devotee. Only pure devotees were allowed in for the nocturnal kirtans. So that's another story, it's not direct to Haridasa. But we also heard the other day on the Mahaprakash pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I don't know if I've jumped forward a bit too far. Okay, this pastime is called Nirantara Namalal. And I haven't got it in the right order. Okay, I'm going to jump right back to the video. I've taken the slides out to quicken things. So, in the house of Srivas Thakur, for 72 hours actually, there was one pastime of Lord Chaitanya going into his inner ecstasies. But during that period of time, he also manifested his Mahaprakash form, where he basically revealed to each and every devotee who they are and who he is, their relationship, and so on. And also at that time, he asked them all ask for me anything you wish, any boon. So one by one, he was glorifying the devotees. He'd call their names and then glorify them. a lot of devotees. Eventually he called upon the name of Haridasa Thakura. Most of the devotees didn't know much about him at all. He was like a new boy. Well, he was old. He was older than most. And but most of them didn't know much about his earlier life and pastimes before he met Lord Chaitanya, before he came to Mayapur. So then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I don't know if I've got it here or not, but he began to glorify Haridasa Thakur in that assembly as if he had hundreds of mouths. No, I don't have it here. I shortened it. So he started to glorify him like anything in front of all the devotees. And he spoke about, he said, do you remember, Haridas? Do you remember that time in the past when you were punished by the Kazi and the Nawab? So we saw on the drama last night a little bit of that pastime, I think, didn't we? Yeah, that was one of the pastimes, was it? Were you? Do you remember that pastime last night? With Haridas and that terrible Muslim person who was beating him. Remember that pastime?
Yeah, that was me. Yeah, that was me beating Haridasa Thakur.
Vishnu Jan.
Yep.
Vishnu Jan, how could you do that?
I mean, I don't know, but this was the plan for the drama. If you wouldn't have said it, I wouldn't have.
Who was the person who told you to do this? Who told you to beat Haridas? Who was this? That one there?
Yes.
I thought he was beating you. You told him to beat you?
Well, for dramatization purposes.
Exactly, traumatizing.
Serious business, huh? Wow. We won't go further with that one. But as you saw, you heard anyway, that the local Qazi in the area where Haridas was chanting, that time he was staying in a little, there's different descriptions of there actually. Sometimes it said like a hollow in a tree, sometimes a cave, sometimes a straw hut. Different mentions of there. Wherever he was staying in a secluded place, simple place, chanting constantly the holy name. And even Muslim people were coming and taking shelter. They were so, by his association, their hearts changed. So, and Hindus, of course. Even Brahmins were coming and seeing what an elevated person is Haridasa. But the local Qazi happened to be a Muslim. The other Qazi was different. It's not the Chan Qazi, he's also a Muslim. The Qazi is a title, like a magistrate, like a local director of that area. Became very upset, especially when he heard that this Haridas actually was born a Muslim. And Muslim people were also converting to Hinduism. Can you imagine? That's a big offense in like Islam, certain areas, maybe not everybody, but the majority of in the leadership position, you could say in the head position, that's a maha-aparad, the greatest sin you can do, practically the greatest sin, more than murder, all these things. To convert, to give up Islam and to accept another religion is considered to be the greatest sin. So this Haridas seems to have done this. The worst thing, however, he's converting others to the same path. That's the real worst thing. So he was really angry. He reported to the Nawab. Nawab is the king of the area, Bengal. Nawab Hussain Shah was the king. So he reported to him and what to do. So he said, you should immediately bring this man to trial for his crime and his sin. So the king sent people there, and they did. They brought Haridas to the king's court. But first they put him in prison, and people in the local area where Haridas were shocked. Why are they arresting him? He's a saint. He's a pure soul. No, you can't do this. They took him off and threw him in jail. And I don't know whether jail was very good. I mean, jails are not usually, in those days, probably not very pleasant places to be, to say the least. So he was, then the prisoners, they heard that, oh, Haridas, I guess they'd heard about him, was coming in as another prisoner in the cell, in the cells. They were They were, in one sense, they were in ecstasy. We're going to get the association of Haridas. He's going to bless us. We're going to be free. They were all excited, you know. Okay, what wonderful association. For them, it was a great event. And yes, it was a great event. So they were happy to receive his association. And they said, Haridas, please bless us, Haridas. Please bless us. We are suffering so much. I bless you to stay just as you are now. Haridas. Oh no. Oh my God. Yes, they were in a prison, suffering and insane. And they're all miserable now. And Haridas then, seeing their state of mind, said, don't get me wrong. My blessings are not what you think they are. Right now you've forgotten your material life and you are thinking of Krishna. Because in his association they began to think of Krishna. You always stay in this state of consciousness. And don't worry, very soon, by the Lord's arrangement, you will also be released from this physical prison also. Like that. So then he was sent to the court of the Nawab, and there he was tried. And here he is, in the court of the Nawab, with the Kazis. There are also, sometimes there are Hindus in the court. They also have a few Hindus in the court, and Rupa Goswami and his brother, of course, they converted in one sense, but there were others who were there, although the painting isn't necessarily absolutely correct, but that's what it was done. And there's Haridas being tried in front of the Nawab. The Nawab was inquiring from him, why is it that you were, converted like this? Don't you know this is a great sin? So Haridas started to justify his decision. Explained that God is one, the God of the Hindus, the God of the Muslims, everything is one. There's not two gods, it's all one. We're all guided by God. It's not that, God only guides one type, he guides everyone. And according to that inspiration, different persons may choose different paths of religion and so on and so forth. He can speaking from a very absolute platform and a scriptural platform, and the Nawab said then, well, why don't you therefore speak from the Quran? Well, it was all one. So it went on and back and forth like this. And our Haridas quoted a few more statements of Shastra. The Kazi was becoming infuriated. And then the Kazi said, yes, if he doesn't speak from the Quran, he should be killed. This is greatest sin. He should be punished severely. And Nawab said, what have you got to do about that? Haridas said, you can do what you like with me, but I would never give up chanting Hare Krishna. You may choose, but I will never stop. You can cut my body into hundreds of pieces, but I will never stop chanting Hare Krishna. And then, no. Kazi, what to do? He should immediately be killed. He should be whipped to death in 22 marketplaces in... So he was Muslim. No, nothing I can do. He could see that Haridas was he was very effulgent. In fact, when Haridas arrived, the Nawab offered him a nice, almost like an asam. He could see, the Nawab could see something, although he acted sinfully. He could see this man is not ordinary. He certainly looks like a saintly person, that's for sure. And then the Kazi said, and if he survives 22 marketplaces, then we know that this man is telling the truth and he's some kind of saint. Is that the Nawab calling? Yes. The Kazi calling you? That's the Kazi calling his assistant here. Take him away, he said. Come on, take him away. Come on, get up. Get up. Come on, get up. You did it last night. Come on, get up. Do it again. Where's that man? Grab him.
What are you doing?
Come on, pick him up. You're going to chain him up and drag him away. Come on, you take another guy with you. Where's another Muslim? Come on, who wants to be here? Wait a minute. Now Haridas does. Now one thing about this is, come this way. One thing is, Haridas does not in any way fight back. Totally submissive. Totally submissive. Sit back, sit back.
You idiot! How dare you!
Okay, that's it. We've reached the first marketplace. All the people, leave him alone. You guys are all Hindus. Leave. No, you're still beating. You two guys are beating him. Come on. You're dragging him and whipping him, beating him, slamming him, smashing him. Come on. You haven't finished yet. Wait, back. You haven't started yet. No, Haridas. You're not like, just lie there. Like this. They're beating him left and right. No! Leave him alone! Leave him alone! Have to smash the people as well. They're trying to stop the phone. Get back. Beat him! Okay, next marketplace. Drag him away to the next marketplace. Whip, bang. Whip him. Take this. Okay. Calm him down. He's getting calm.
Hey, chill, bro. Hey, chill.
Stop.
Bro, chill.
Stop.
Chill, bro.
Getting really getting into it. Whoa. They really got into that there. Okay. So then, 22 marketplaces, they dragged Haridas, beating him left, right, and center. Nobody can stop them. Haridas is chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare, and smiling. He wasn't, leave me alone. He wasn't like that. He was smiling. And he was praying. In his heart of hearts, he was praying. You'll hear about that in a minute. So Lord Chaitanya said, do you remember that pastime, Haridas, when you were being beaten in those marketplaces? When they beaten him 22 times, 22 marketplaces, not 22 times. Normally a prisoner or somebody was punished by this death penalty, so to speak, lasted 1, 2, or maximum 3 marketplaces. Maximum 3. That was the record. Haridasa Thakura set a record, 22 marketplaces. He was still alive and smiling. The guards, the Muslim guards who were trying to kill him, were exhausted. They could beat no more. They were dead beat. They were looking very, very sad and depressed. Haridas said, what's wrong? He said, Haridas, we can see that you are not an ordinary person by any means. But we failed in our duty. Our boss, the Nawab, is very cruel. We're so afraid that he's going to kill us because we failed to kill you. Why didn't you tell me earlier? I would have died immediately. If my living brings you pain, let me die. Haridasa went into deep, deep samadhi. So deep, everyone thought he was dead. There was not even a sign of breath. We killed him! He's dead! Oh. We succeeded. They dragged him back to the Nawab. We're bringing him back. He's dead. So now what to do? Okay, the Nawab says, arrange for his burial. No way, says the Qazi. He should perish in hell like all the other Hindus. Throw him in the Ganga! He doesn't deserve a burial like a pious Hindu. They really felt like that. I mean, now, said, how is it you've taken the birth in such a high-class family as a Muslim and you become a low-class Hindu? We don't even eat rice from a Hindu's home now. I said, how have you degraded yourself like this? So the Qazi, of course he was dead, he was said this earlier, but Qazi said, throw him in the Ganga, he deserves to rot in hell. They tried to move him, they couldn't move him, he weighed like tons. Not he weighed tons by the arrangement of the Lord. The Lord Shakti made him feel like he was almost unlimited weight. 20 men could move him. They had chains on him and balls and things to make sure he drowned in the Ganga. So then eventually they managed to drag him off to the Ganga. He allowed it. They took him and threw him in the Ganga. But that wasn't the end of Haridasa. He had all these chains on. And normally that's what they do, then you sink. No. You may have heard on the first day, if you can remember you were here, that one of the statements was there that Ganga Devi is always hoping and praying to be able to embrace Haridasa Thakur. She embraced him. All the chains, everything, finished. And she embraced him and carried him like a loving mother down the river Ganga. In her arms, in her trouble. It's hard to imagine the river's arms, but you get the idea, in her waves, whatever. She carried him down the Ganga. And just at the point near Puglia, where he came from, he was living at that time in an area called Puglia. At that point, she washed him up on the shore. And he got out of the water and walked straight back to where he came from, chanting Hare Krishna. He sat there, everyone was stunned. All the local people were absolutely stunned. Even the Muslims were coming and paying obeisances. Even when the Nawaz found out about this, he came himself with his own entourage and fell on the ground in front of Haridasa, begging forgiveness. The Qazi didn't. He had to suffer the pain. Yet he was a real sinner. But the Nawab and many of his associates did. And he said to Haridasa, you can do anything you like in my kingdom. No one can stop you. You can live where you like and do what you like. He realized, of course, you can't always trust a politician. But that's what he said. He was kind of forgiven at that point. The local Brahmins, however, were stunned also by how on earth could this have all happened to you? You're such a saint. Why did the Lord allow this to happen? So some of you know the answer to this.
Yes.
Do you know?
Lord took the beating on his back.
Pardon?
Lord took the beating on his back, not the Haridasa.
No. Why? What was the lesson to learn from what I've said so far? You're jumping forward.
The Lord teaches others through his pure devotee.
Sorry?
The Lord teaches others through his pure devotee.
Of course, every pastime of Haridasa Thakur, that is the lesson you can see there. Specifically, Haridasa Thakur said, I got away very lightly. I was very fortunate to get away lightly. There's two major lessons and then many other lessons. One of the major lessons was this. The major lesson is, I got away very lightly. My punishment was very mild. Why? He said, I heard blasphemy. I heard blasphemy in the court of the Nawab. I deserved to be punished much more. I got away lightly. Whew. If that's light, we can't imagine what hard is, or heavy. He got away lightly. That's what he said. He's teaching the lesson. We can see, as we've heard, Lord Brahma takes the role, or enters into whatever it is, of Haridasa. Perhaps the most famous verse in the prayers of Lord Brahma. What is that verse? Continue. Tattenu kampam shamanam panjana eva kitabitakam. What does this mean? It's Brahma's prayers. It's Haridasa's prayer.
For one who tolerates the reactions of his karma.
Yeah, his past activities. He's not asking for release me from it. It is whatever it is. He accepts it. Krishna's hand. And just simply takes shelter of Krishna. What happens to such a person?
It's eligible for liberation.
He becomes an eligible candidate to enter into the kingdom of God. So he's teaching us a big lesson here from many angles. Many angles. About how we can enter into the kingdom of God. But it's more than that. More than that. Here we see, sometimes Prabhupada says that Haridasa Thakura, that there's a kind of the same potency in one sense. And amazingly enough, I know that Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj, he said just like Mohammed and Jesus, he brings Mohammed into the same category. Can you believe that? It's true. We don't understand what's going on. We only see what we can see with our imperfect senses. But at least with Jesus we can understand that mood of similarity. Quite similar in many ways. But even more, Prabhupada says, Haridasa was much more. Because he wasn't just praying for their forgiveness from corrupted karma. Please forgive them, they don't know what they want to do. He was doing that. He was doing much more. He wanted them all to be delivered back to Godhead. He wanted them to be liberated from material existence. He was their absolute well-wisher, even though they're trying to kill him. It wasn't just about tolerance, means I tolerate it, but that's it, I'm tolerating it. It's more, that's why in the Lord Chaitanya's prayer said, more tolerant than a tree. Not tolerant like a tree, more tolerant than a tree. Trees tolerate it, in fact, haven't got much choice. But more tolerant than that. Haridasa was more tolerant. That more tolerant of a devotee is manifested here in the form of Haridasa. That he was actually the best well-wisher of those who were trying to kill him. No matter who they are, he never held any grudge, as we heard this morning. You can't go back to God with a grudge. Completely pure-hearted. So not only pure-hearted, but an ocean of compassion on all the fallen conditioned souls. So he showed that example, and then at the title page of this page, Nirantar Namalao. This comes up a few times in Haridasa's Leela. It means, whatever the situation, always chant the holy name. This is the main lesson. Vrindavan Das Thakur says, this is the main lesson from this pastime, is that we should always chant the holy name, no matter what. Hare Krishna. Now, if you want to ask a quick question, but don't jump the gun. This story is not anywhere near finished yet, by the way.
No, it is it appears like he's Prahlad, but it appears he's living again like the same similar situation as
It appears what?
Like he's Prahlad. He's Prahlad.
He's Prahlad. Yeah,
so
that's
it
been,
appears he's living the same situation.
yeah, this is the mood of Prahlad. I mentioned the other day that in some of the Leelas is Prahlad Maharaj's mood which is present. It's not Lord Brahma's direct mood, it's Lord Prahlad Maharaj's mood in this pastime. As he was beaten and tortured by his father and his guards, etc., the same thing is happening more or less here. So there's a lot of correlation there between these different persons at different times. And this is correctly said, thank you for bringing it up, this is the mood of Prahlad Maharaj here in this pastime. Specifically in this one. So now we're going back to Srila Sangam. Lord Chaitanya has just told this pastime now. Everyone's absolutely stunned and astonished to hear it. Then Lord Chaitanya reveals something very special over and above what's already been revealed. He said, do you remember that pastime, Haridas, when you were being beaten in those marketplaces by those guards? Lord Chaitanya said, I immediately sent my Sudarshan Chakra on the spot to kill them all, slice their heads off on the spot, the whole lot, all of them, from top to bottom. But Sudarshan was also stopped in its path because of you, because of your unlimited compassion on all of those. everyone. Sudarshan could do nothing, he was like frozen. Like that. He came back. Nothing I can do. Sorry, Haridasa won't let me do it. Krishna's controlled by his devotees in this case. So then Lord Chaitanya said, therefore I came myself. I personally came. When the guards were beating you, I placed my back on your back. I took those whip marks. And then the Lord turned round in front of all the devotees in Srila Sangha. And you could see all the whip marks all the way down his body. He took those marks. I couldn't tolerate seeing you in this situation, the Lord said. Therefore, I personally took that beating upon myself. This comes up a few times in other pastimes, how the Lord protects his devotees in more ways than one. Amazing pastime. Everyone was astonished. So we move on from this wonderful pastime. The waves of the good qualities were like those of Prahlad Maharaj. He did not even slightly raise an eyebrow when persecuted by the Muslim ruler. We've mentioned that all the time. But Prabhupada says on that one there, I will never give up chanting the Lord's name. Oh Krishna, please be merciful upon these poor souls. Kindly excuse them for their offense. Maintaining this type of determination and being compassionate to all living entities while always chanting the holy name of Krishna is the path of devotional service exhibited by the previous Maharajas. If one simply remembers the name of Haridas, not to mention his terrible ordeal at the hands of the Muslims, one becomes freed from one's own pain and misery. Most certainly, Haridasa Thakura was one of the closest and most important associates of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Chandra. And we know we mentioned that's the pastime with Maya Devi, and that's what she was saying. We heard a little bit about that. The snake charmer, we don't have time for that pastime, unfortunately. We just read this one quote, which is spoken actually by the snake charmer. Haridas was born in a low-class family. I'll briefly mention it. Haridasa Thakur went to this house of this mercantile man who at that time was having he had a snake charmer in his home, and many people were gathered around watching the snake. The snake was dancing. Snake charmer was playing whatever it is and singing different things. And the snake's dancing, a deadly poisonous snake. Yeah, have you ever seen this? You see it in India sometimes. They're still there. And at that time, Haridasa Thakur happened to arrive at that place. And at that moment, the snake charmer was actually reciting verses from the Bhagavatam about the Kaliya serpent and how Krishna danced on his heads. When Haridas heard this, he couldn't restrain himself. He just went into complete ecstasy how merciful the Lord was to deliver the Kaliya serpent and dancing on his heads and this and that. He started rolling on the ground, all ecstatic symptoms manifested in his body. The snake charmer stopped, offered his obeisances to Haridas. Rolling on the ground, the snake stopped dancing. Everyone was just stopped, motionless, as Haridas was for a long time, went into deep samadhi and in ecstasy. Everyone was silent, just respecting. After some time, Haridas came out of his samadhi, so to speak, and left the place. And the snake charmer carried on, as if nothing had happened. A few minutes later, there was one Brahmin in the audience, another similar one, caste Brahmin in the audience. He came out of the audience. He thought, if this low-class, no-good-for-nothing fellow can get so much respect just by rolling on the ground and showing some artificial signs of ecstasy, God knows what would happen if I did the same thing. How much respect I would get, nobody could even imagine. So this is called an imitation. You heard about imitation yesterday. So he suddenly burst out of the crowd because he continued the pastimes of Kaliya, the snake charmer, and started roaring and rolling and flipping around on the floor there as if he was also in ecstasy trying to imitate Haridas. Again, the snake charmer stopped. Everyone thought the same thing was happening again. This was amazing. Instead, this time, where's your stick? Come here. Give me your stick.
stick is there.
Come on, the stick is very useful. I knew it would come on.
The same stick
Come
from
on,
yesterday.
Mr. Jan, are you up to it? Can you lie on the floor and roll around, or do you want to do it?
Huh? What do you want me to do?
Well, you are this puffed up Brahmin who comes. Give me the stick. Give me the stick. You're the puffed up Brahmin who comes out the crowd and rolls on the ground as if he's Haridasa Thakura in ecstasy. Who's going to do it? Who wants to do that? Maybe you should do it.
So we're clear there.
You stand back, leave it.
Is he going to beat me again?
Sit down.
Oh.
Yeah, you. There.
Want me
Yeah.
to roll
Over
on the
there,
ground?
over there.
Oh,
Krishna!
Oh, Krishna! Krishna! Oh, Krishna! Oh, please give me all of his thanks! Oh, Krishna! Oh, please beat me. I'm so fallen.
Don't say that. You don't think like that at all. You're just thinking everyone should now pay their obeisances.
Oh, Krishna! Oh, I'm such a deep ecstasy. I'm so happy. Oh my God! Krishna! Ah, what have I done? Oh, Krishna!
Say Krishna. You don't say Krishna, you say, Mother, help me!
Mama!
Save me!
Mama!
Save me! Get up.
Mama!
Save me! Run for your life. Help! Save me! Snake started dancing again.
Go dance.
Everyone's like, what the heck's going on around here? The people don't know what to make of all this. 1 minute he's standing there paying respects. Next minute he's beating the life out of this Brahmin. Almost killed him. And the Brahmin has to run away crying for mother's help. So after he's finished, we're bewildered, they say. Can you please explain this? So then he goes in to explain the difference between the two. So here are just a couple of quotes, not many. The snake charmer. His name Haridasa is appropriate, for Lord Krishna constantly dwells in his heart. He is affectionate to all living entities, and he is always engaged in their welfare. He accompanies the Lord whenever he incarnates. Haridasa Thakura is affectionate to all living entities and a benefactor for both animate and inanimate beings. He incarnates whenever the Supreme Lord incarnates. In other words, he is a constant associate in the Lord's pastimes. One who associates with Haridasa for even a fraction of a moment will certainly attain shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva always desire to associate with a devotee like Haridasa. Haridasa was born in a low-class family, just as Prahlad was born in a demonic family. Hanuman was born in a monkey family. The demigods desire the touch of Haridasa, and even Mother Ganga desires that Haridasa immerse in her waters. By the supreme will of the Lord, Haridasa Thakura appeared in a low-class family. Generally, human beings desire to become purified by either touching the demigods or taking bath in the Ganga. But what to speak of the demigods headed by Lord Brahma, even the most sanctified Ganga, who emanates from the lotus feet of Vishnu, desires to become glorious by the touch of Paramahamsa Vaishnavacharya Haridasa Thakura, who is a representative of all demigods. So the snake charmer was speaking all these things. Actually, it was Ananta Shesh, who was in the form of the snake charmer. He was Ananta Shesh speaking through the snake charmer about the glories of Haridasa Thakura. And then, of course, he explained about the lowly position of the Brahmin, low-caste Brahmin. There's a little bit about that pastime. Don't imitate. So this is, again, a Mahaprakash pastime, after Lord Chaitanya explained these various pastimes of Haridasa. Lord Chaitanya then turned his benign glance on Haridasa and called out, Haridasa, look at me. Your body and birth is superior to mine. Your class and caste is more elevated than mine. I do not possess any good qualifications. I'm sinful, and I'm not even within the Vedic society. This is Haridasa Thakura speaking to Lord Chaitanya. Just seeing me makes a person vulnerable to sin. This is Haridasa speaking. And touching me makes one so contaminated that he must bathe immediately. How then can I say anything about your divine pastimes? O Lord, I am such a destitute that I do not possess the sweetness of your memory, and yet you have not forsaken me. Although I'm unfit to see you, you are present before me in person. I am praying to you now for only one benediction. The Lord asked him to ask a benediction. One benediction. O Lord, I have known only misfortune, yet you give me so much hope. Just allow me to partake of the remnants of the foodstuffs of your devotees who are surrendered to your lotus feet. Let this activity be my permanent and most prominent service, life after life. My sinful birth and existence is miserable without remembrance of you. But now please make my life successful by granting me the remnants of your servitors. I feel within my heart that I have committed a grave offense by asking of you to be situated in the elevated status of a Vaishnava, for I am grossly unfit. O Lord, my Master, protector and maintainer of the entire creation, I am spiritually lifeless, therefore kindly forgive my ignorance. O Lord Vishwambar, the beautiful son of Mother Sachi, you are my Master, so be merciful to me and keep me as a dog in the house of a Vaishnava. You can see the intense humility of Haridasa, his tolerance, his humility, his incredible respect for others and never asking for respect. He's the personification, you could say, of this prayer or the verse in the Sikshastakam and others too. And to take the remnants of the devotees is my most prominent service. It doesn't sound like a kind of a service you would consider prominent. We're a little bit, let's say, conditioned by our material experiences, but receiving the remnants of the Vaishnava's prasadam is such a great, almost, there's so many pastimes in Krishna Lila, what to speak of the pastime of even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's interaction with Narada Muni and how the Lord appears in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is related to the value of Krishna, the remnants of the pure devotee of the Lord, the remnants of the Lord's prasadam, the Mahaprasad of the Lord. So many times this comes up, how valuable, how important it is. And remembering that Haridasa Thakur, in one of at least one of his forms as Lord Brahma, the whole pastime started on the first morning with Lord Brahma interfering with the Lord's breakfast, with his lunch, with his picnic. He tried to literally stop the Lord's pastimes in one sense. And now he's just begging for that opportunity to get those remnants of the devotees' prasadam, the Maha Prasad. It was very Bhaktivinoda Thakur Shuddha Bhakta Charana Rena, that the remnants of the Vaishnavas, the dust that have washed from their feet, the water that has washed their feet, these are my three foodstuffs. These are so important, powerful items for purification. Literal meaning, we can go deeper, but we won't. But practically speaking, these three items are very, very powerful in transforming or changing a living entity's life. So we'll move on. One who hears this pastime of the Lord and Haridasa Thakur with proper faith will certainly enjoy the fruit of Krishna Prema. These words are not my concoction, but the bold declaration of all scripture. One is sure to experience the bliss of devotional service to Lord Krishna if one lends oral reception to the transcendental activities of the pure devotees of the Supreme Lord. All glories to Haridasa Thakur, a giant amongst the Vaishnavas. By remembrance of him, one is freed from all sinful reactions. Just by remembering him. We follow him, then you can get Krishna prema. And then, of course, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after taking sannyas, moved to Jagannath Puri. And Haridasa was very devastated. He thought he would never be able to see the Lord again because he considered himself the most fallen. Jagannath Puri, with only Brahmins or Hindus, are really able to reside. He's a Muslim nor a Brahmin, neither a Hindu. And what would he do? Lord Chaitanya is going to go there. He won't be able to go in the temple. The Lord would be staying in a Brahmin's house, or in the temple. He would not be able to have his association. So the Lord assured him that it would be okay. So the next time, the Lord actually went to Puri, and within a few months of his going, he left for his tour of South India and didn't come back for 2 or 3 years. So in the meantime, of course, separation was swelling very high in all the devotees in Puri and Navadvip and everywhere else, because the Lord was not, let's say, within their scope, within their vision. So next time when the Lord came back was just before the Rath Yatra festival. And at that time, the devotees from Navadvip came, and Haridas came with them. So again, the same thing. He wouldn't take prasadam directly with the other devotees. He'd wait for everyone to finish prasadam. He'd stay at a distance. Always be the last one, maybe 1 or 2 others with him, to take prasad, to honor prasadam. He felt himself too unfit to sit with other devotees to honor prasad. He was so humble and so respectful. So he came, and the Lord then made arrangements actually for him, because he couldn't live near the temple and he couldn't live with Lord Chaitanya and most of his associates. So he arranged this secluded place. It's no longer secluded, which is now called Siddhabakal, because there's a bakal tree there. Bakal is a special kind of tree. And there in that place Haridas resided. A little cottage was made there. And it wasn't too far from Gambhir, Kashi Mishra's abode. And Haridas Thakur stayed there for the rest of his life, basically, and chanted the holy name of Krishna. And that's the tree. It's still there today. That tree, although it's hollow, the tree is actually hollow. It continues to grow. And it's called a bakal tree in the courtyard of the Siddhabakal temple there. We've heard that before, his interactions with Haridas and Rupa Goswami. It's a statement of Lord Chaitanya here, stating, at every moment you take your bath in the holy places of pilgrimage, every moment you perform great sacrifices, austerity and charity. In other words, he's reaping the fruits of all these activities at every moment. You are constantly studying the 4 Vedas because you realize the truth of all the Vedas. And you are far better than any Brahmin or sannyasi. Prabhupada says, if one cannot... Okay, we're going to go back. Now we're starting a new pastime.
Maharaj?
Yeah.
Sorry, can I just ask, where is the picture of the tree? That's Jagannath Puri?
Pardon?
The tree on the picture.
Yeah.
Or the Jagannath Puri?
Yeah. Same tree.
What is it called?
Siddhabakal. Bakal is the tree, and Siddha means like, perfect or very powerful tree. There's a story there when they wanted to chop it down for the Jagannath Rath Yatra festival. And they were coming there during Haridas's, just after his time, maybe, I can't remember what time it was, but they came. And the tree then overnight, because, they didn't want the devotees, certainly in Haridas, it was still during his time, I think, maybe not. But they did, it was a terrible thing. They were going to chop down this holy tree for the service of the Lord, so that's good. But then during the night, the tree suddenly became hollow and became useless. So they didn't cut it down. To this very day, it's still hollow. Just the bark, which is growing, and there's some branches coming off. Yeah.
Why wasn't Haridasa Thakura allowed in by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Jagannath Puri?
Social, it's humility first of all. Haridasa Thakur did not want to infringe on any kind of social etiquettes. He first of all didn't, then he didn't even feel himself fit anyway. Rupa Goswami didn't go in either. Neither did Sanatana. They stayed with Haridas. They didn't go to the temple because they've been associated as servants of the Kazi, of the Nawab. They also wouldn't go to the temple. The 3 of them stayed together, well, not at the same time, different times.
Were they going to Rath Yatra?
Huh?
Were they going to Rath Yatra?
Rath Yatra, yes. Haridas was. Rupa and Sanatana, there's no record of them being there during the Rath Yatra. Different time of the year. But Haridasa was one of the chief dancers in Rath Yatra. He would dance. Lord Chaitanya selected 4 dancers: Nityananda, Haridas, Advaita Acharya and Vikreshwara Pandit to dance. He select all the Madanga players, all the Kirtaniyas, all the Kartal players were all selected. They weren't just do as you like type of thing. They were selected because they were the personification of that particular mood of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and fulfilling his mood. So Haridas was a dancer. And at that time he was about 70 years of age. And Lord Chaitanya, and Advaita was 10 years older, 15 years older almost. They were chief dancers in the Rath Yatra. So yes, he would always be there for the Rath Yatra. But of course, everyone has their, you could say, pastime, has their part to play. Haridas's pastimes were coming. He was old, and just before Lord Chaitanya departed, probably in his 80s, Haridasa Thakur wanted to leave the world. He didn't want to see the final pastime of the Lord's departure. So his body was getting old, and he wasn't eating much or sleeping at all. And his body was getting old and run down, you could say. But every day he wouldn't go to the temple, but Lord Govinda, Lord Chaitanya's servant, would bring him Mahaprasad every day. So one day when Govinda came to see Haridas was laying down, and it looked like something was going wrong here. His health didn't look very good. So Govinda asked him, asked Haridas, "Please, I brought Mahaprasad. Please kindly honor." He said, "Oh, today, no, I'm not well. I'm sick, I can't eat prasadam." So he said, just touched the prasad and offered his respects. And Govinda left, went back to Lord Chaitanya and reported to Lord Chaitanya that it seemed like Haridasa Thakur was ill. So the next day Lord Chaitanya came and he asked Haridasa Thakur, "What's happening? Are you okay? Your health okay?" And he was concerned. So I don't know the order of these slides, I didn't look at it this morning. Okay. So Haridasa Thakur said, "No, my Lord, actually there's nothing wrong with my body. Nothing wrong with my body and mind, actually. My sickness is that I cannot finish my rounds." So in the purport to that, Srila Prabhupada says, if one cannot complete the fixed number of rounds he is assigned, he should be considered to be in a diseased condition of spiritual life. Srila Haridasa Thakur is called Nama Acharya. Of course, we cannot imitate Haridasa Thakur, but everyone must chant a prescribed number of rounds. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we have fixed 16 rounds as the minimum, so that the Westerners will not feel indebted, will feel burdened. These 16 rounds must be chanted, and chanted loudly, so that one can hear himself and others. That's something you have to ask your local authorities what that means, to the extent of being loud. It doesn't mean so loud that no one else can hear themselves. But if someone comes up to you, there should be a sound, not that you're trying to compete with each other, who can be heard the most. But at least there should be an audible sound. And we have to follow. That was another one of the arguments that the Brahmins in Harinadi and Gopal Chakravarti had. What is this? This is a sacred mantra. You shouldn't even chant it in the first place, because it's meant to be a silent one, not meant for public. And Prabhupada says, and we have to follow the great personalities. Haridasa Thakur, he was chanting very loudly. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chanted very loudly. So what more evidence you want? My Guru Maharaj chanted loudly. We are chanting loudly. What can you say? And that's with Rupa, I think. We've heard that. So we're coming now on to the final pastime. Haridasa Thakur was lying there, not very healthy. His health was not good. He said, "My disease is I've not finished my round." And we chanted 192 rounds. Lord Chaitanya said, There's no need for you to chant your rounds. You've already fulfilled your mission. Now in old age you don't need to follow this vow, Haridas. Don't think like this. I just said, my Lord, do not please put me into illusion like this. I'm the most fallen of creatures. I'm the most wretched person. There are millions of devotees who should be sitting on my head. I'm lower than a worm in stool. Please do not speak to me like this. I'm a complete wretch. He was feeling so bad that he couldn't finish his rounds. At least he was teaching this example. And said, and the Lord said, well, then what to do? I said, I have one request, my Lord, if you'll please be merciful to me. He said, please allow me to leave my body before you leave yours, or before you leave this world. Lord doesn't leave his body. Please allow me this one request. And Lord Chaitanya went into a whole exposition here. Oh, okay, here it is. My Lord, do not create an illusion. Although I am so fallen, you must certainly show me this mercy. My Lord, there are many respectable persons, millions of devotees who are fit to sit on my head. They are helpful in your pastimes. My Lord, if an insignificant insect like me dies, what is the loss? If an ant dies, where is the loss to the material world? My Lord, you are always affectionate to your devotees. I am just an imitation devotee. But nevertheless, I wish that you fulfill all of my desires. That is my expectation. In front of all the great devotees, and Ramananda Roy, in front of all the great devotees like Ramananda Roy and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to describe the attributes of Haridasa Thakur. As he described the transcendental attributes of Haridas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu seemed to possess 5 mouths. Now this is jumping on. So, after Haridas had said that, Lord Chaitanya said, he said that, how can I tolerate this? You're more dear to me than my very self. I can't live without you. He was like expressing his own feelings. But whatever mercy Krishna bestows upon you, what can be done? So the next day, Lord went home. Next day, came back to see Haridasa Thakur. And at that time, Haridasa requested he leave his body in the vision of Lord Chaitanya, gazing at his lotus-like face and chanting the Lord's holy name. Lord Chaitanya came back and said, so Haridas, what is the news? Haridas said, whatever mercy you bestow upon me, my Lord, whatever mercy, as you wish. And then Lord Chaitanya sat down and put Haridasa Thakur was gazing at the Lord's lotus face. In his eyes, his tears rolling down his face. Lord Chaitanya, tears rolling down his face. And Haridasa was chanting, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Sri, and Haridasa took the Lord's lotus feet and placed them on his lap, on his chest rather, holding the Lord's lotus feet. And he's chanting the Lord's holy name, gazing at the Lord who's gazing at Haridasa. Everyone, all the devotees are gathered around, they've all come, and they're all like mesmerized and captivated by the scene. And during that time, Haridasa left his body. Amazing pastime. Then Lord Chaitanya began to glorify Haridasa in front of all the great devotees like Ramananda Roy and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to describe the holy attributes of Haridasa Thakur. As he described the transcendental attributes of Haridas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu seemed to possess 5 mouths. The more he described, the more his great happiness increased. After hearing of the transcendental qualities of Haridasa Thakur, all the devotees present were struck with wonder. They all offered their respectful obeisances to the lotus feet of Haridasa Thakur. Lord Chaitanya then picked up the body of Haridasa Thakur in his arms and danced, and kirtan, roaring kirtan began. as Lord Chaitanya danced, holding the body of Haridasa Thakur. After some time, Sri Damodar arranged for like a palanquin, like an airship more or less, came to take the body of Haridasa Thakur to the ocean, where they bathed. Lord Chaitanya personally bathed Haridasa Thakur with the water of the ocean there in Puri, along with his associates. And he declared there and then that anyone who takes their bath in this spot, that water had already been bathed in by Lord Chaitanya, but Lord Chaitanya said that from now on, anyone who bathes in this water will attain highest love of Godhead, because this water has touched the lotus feet of Haridasa Thakur. Then they put him to Samadhi. Personally, Lord Chaitanya dug the Samadhi along with his associates. Personally, he placed various items, including the silk cloth from the ropes which pulled Lord Jagannath and other items, auspicious items, into the Samadhi for Haridasa Thakur. He personally put him into Samadhi. And then the Lord personally went all over Puri, begging for a festival to commemorate, to honor Haridasa Thakur. He went from shop to shop, person to person. Sri Damodar after a while stopped him and said, it's not fit. We will do this service, my Lord. It's not fit for you. Please allow us. So then they continued, but so much bhoga was coming, unending bhoga. And Sri Damodar gave a limit to that also, so that huge quantities of bhoga came for the feast from all over Puri. And then they arranged a huge feast for Haridasa Thakur's departure for his Samadhi. And Lord Chaitanya personally was serving, until again Sri Damodar told him, please my Lord, please sit down. No one's going to eat a grain of rice unless you begin to eat prasad. Honor prasad, please my Lord, please. We will do the serving. And all the great devotees like Sri Damodar, I don't know, all the different devotees who started serving, but all the topmost devotees except for the Lord and the sannyasis. Everyone else, all the leading devotees, were serving prasad. Tens of thousands of people honoring prasad. Lord Chaitanya then gave one benediction. Anyone who has seen the festival of Haridasa Thakur's passing away, anyone who has chanted and danced here, anyone who has offered sand on the body of Haridas, anyone who has joined this festival to partake of the prasadam will achieve the favor of Krishna very soon. There is such wonderful power in seeing Haridasa Thakur. Being merciful upon me, Krishna gave me the association of Haridasa Thakur. Being independent in his desires, he has now broken that association. When Haridasa Thakur wanted to leave this material world, it was not within my power to detain him. Simply by his will, Haridasa Thakur could give up his life and go away, exactly like Bhishma, who previously died simply by his own desire. As we have heard from Shastra, Haridasa Thakur was a crown jewel on the head of the world. Without him, this world is now bereft of its valuable jewel. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then told everyone, say, all glories to Haridasa Thakur!
All glories to Haridasa Thakur!
And chant the holy name of Hari.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Saying this, Lord Chaitanya personally began to dance. Everyone began to chant, all glories to Haridasa Thakur!
All glories to Haridasa Thakur!
Who revealed the importance
Who revealed the importance
of chanting the holy name of the Lord.
of chanting the holy name of the Lord.
And that's the Samadhi, the Samadhi is like the tomb. So that's the, whatever you want to call it, representing above his body, his divine body there, Jagannath Puri. If you ever go there, they rebuilt the actual building which was there before. This is the old building which was there before. Somehow or another there was some problem with the structure, it was falling down, so they built a new one. But that's the old one, above Haridasa Thakur's body there in Puri. Okay, well, what can we say? We won't read this. His time is up. It's already 1 o'clock, just exactly past. I rushed through things because of time. I hope you got some little inspiration, a little bit of desire, path of bhakti, devotion, chanting the holy name particularly, of course, and the importance of respecting devotees. So important. Their efforts to become servants of devotees. We're not devotees, we try to become servants of devotees. Shri Haridasa Thakur ki jai! Shri Haridasa Thakur ki jai! Shri Haridasa Thakur ki jai! Lord Premanande! Prabhupada ki jai! If you want to take darshan of Haridasa, the deity is there, or look at some of the pictures as you wish. And you can. I've only got one copy of this book, I'm afraid, but you can. If you may already have one, I don't know if they're available in your shop in London. Maybe they are. They're not available here. But,
We can take a photo so we can
excuse me?
We can take a photo of it so we can find it.
Yeah. I've got some other books here. It's not really related to the topic, but someone gave me all these old Back to Goddess. If anyone wants one, you're welcome. They want to distribute them. You probably got them. They're in English, I think. They were in English. There's even one. There's a magazine. It's just some old magazines that we're just trying to pass on history. If anyone wants, this is most of you have seen it. I don't want it anyway.
Animals in Krishna consciousness.
This is me here. You want to know about my present consciousness and my past life? You can read this book here. That's me. Animals in Krishna Consciousness by none other than the Worm. That's me. My old name used to be the Worm. I was at school, I was called the Worm. They used to call me Worm. Not a very, what do you say, high title to be called a worm. Worms are very important creatures. There's not enough of them. Without the worms, you won't get much in the soil. They're a very important part to play in preparing the soil for the growth of plants. So, they have an important part to play also. And I was called the Worm when I was at school. And I'm still like a worm, what to do? Lower than a worm in stool, as Kaviraj Goswami says. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
One day we'll do that drama, done that drama for a long time. That was the one we did in front of 7,000 devotees in Puri. It was the departure of Haridasa. I'll just set a short mention of some of the aspects of that drama. I was asked the night before the Parikama the next day with Bhakti Purusha, Maharaj, Abhitaka Maharaj and others to put on a drama the next day at some place which will be declared when we reach it. And so I decided to try for this one. And I had in the morning, it was too late to think of it. Well, I thought about it at night, but I didn't do anything. Morning I chose 2 or 3 devotees to help. One is, of course, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one is Govinda, one is a reciter, but I knew we didn't have time for much more. So I had a reciter, his name was Bhakti Siddhanta Swami, disciple of Jayapataka Maharaj. Agreed, the American devotee agreed to be the narrator, gave him the lines. And one is Govinda, had a very small part to play. And one is Lord Chaitanya, a big part to play. Lord Chaitanya was Ekalavya, who's now Sri Krishna Chaitanya Swami. But then he was Ekalavya, who used to play a trumpet, very famous devotee, disciple of Lokanath Maharaj. So I asked him, he knows all the pastimes anyway, so he didn't really have to learn his lines, he already knew everything. So we asked him to play that part, and he's kind of like fortunate looking and tall and very fair and an attractive guy. So I thought it was a good choice. And he's a friend, old friend, so he was very happy to play the part. And then we were about to set off, and when all of a sudden, practically Maharaja came up to me and said, "Okay, I will." No, I don't think I'd taken sannyas. I think it was before I took sannyas. I can't remember exactly. Maybe it was before or after. But he said, anyway, this now, we want you to do the drama here now. And there's 7,000 devotees all scattered all over the place. And I said, well, just give us a little time so we can get ready. Okay, 5, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes at most, like that. Get ready. Do the drama. They had loudspeakers and translations in all the different languages, going in different directions. And so I used the speakers, calling the actors to come immediately. So, Ekalavya, please, will you please come to here so we can get ready? And the other two turned up, Govinda and whoever it was playing that role. And Bhaktisiddhanta Swami came, but there was no sign of Ekalavya. He didn't come. I inquired quickly what happened, and somebody said, oh, he got terribly sick. He was vomiting all over the place and had to stay back. He didn't come. Didn't come. He's not on the parikrama. Lord Chaitanya's got a pretty important part to play in this pastime for Haridas's departure. Pretty hard to do it without Lord Chaitanya. The time was running out. There's 5 minutes left. I didn't know what to do. I just prayed. I said, Maharaj, what are we going to do? He said, you have to do something right now. What to do? I quickly said back to him, said, Maharaj, you're going to have to recite the lines of Lord Chaitanya as well. Don't ask me why, just do it, okay? And so I disappeared behind a tree to put the cloth on, being Haridasa, Thakura was Haridasa. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. Haridasa, this is ridiculous. And suddenly one young man from South America, very new devotee, just walked by just at that moment. It's 99% Indian devotees, but this happened to be one Westerner, a young boy who spoke English, walked by, and I said, come here, quick. He said, what do you want? I said, have you ever been in a drama before? He said, no, never. Today's your first day, put this on. I stuck the dhoti around and I said, what's going on here? I said, don't ask questions, just do what I tell you to do. Come with me now. And he, I stuffed a wig on his head and put a golden dhoti around his waist and took his skirt off. And there he was, ready. And I said, what do I do? I said, I'll tell you what to do when the time comes. And then we did the whole drama. And it was absolutely unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. It was just like that. It was like it was like the snake charmer. It was like it was somebody acting through him. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. And when we hit the final scene, when Haridasa was departing, literally there were tears pouring out of his eyes. Pouring out. So amazing, so close. There's a deep feeling. And afterwards, I'm lying there, and supposedly in samadhi, and I'm telling him what to do from the grave. Okay, now take the top piece and go around the audience and collect donations for the feast, which is about to happen. It is where we're going to have the feast. See, 7,000 devotees. So he went around collecting donations. And people were giving so much money that they were throwing it in. Eventually we had 8 devotees go around collecting. They collected more than 1 lakh of rupees. They paid for the whole feast, the entire feast, just for that. It was an amazing experience. Anyway, that was our drama. Uddhava says we should remember the Lord's pastimes through drama, poetry, like that. It's a wonderful way to imbibe the pastimes. We should try to get the pastimes as they are. They're not just there for display, but they're there to actually change our hearts. The Lord manifests these pastimes for our benefit, for his own enjoyment too, for the pleasure, but primarily for his devotees' pleasure. We're trying to become servants of devotees. So it's rare benefit that he manifests these pastimes. He appears and appears to disappear and so on. It's all for our purification. So take advantage when we enter into that real mood. That's the art of drama, is to enter into the actual mood. And we hear the mood from those who know the mood, those who live the mood, those who are in that mood. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridasa Thakura ki jai. Gaur Premanandi.
His Holiness Janananda.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Jai.
Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare
Rama, 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 Hare Hare.
Okay, well, we better finish. You've got to finish your 64 rounds for today still. You better get on with it pretty quick. Okay, if anyone wants to have a look at these books, if you want this, if anyone wants the book, you haven't already got one, many of you have seen it, got it, whatever. Did any donations you give go to the Go Show?
I want to take a photo of that.
Which one?
This one.
Yeah, well, I'll put that there.
Okay.
Give me a tissue. I get carried away when I think of Haridasa Thakura.
So Maharaja, so he didn't enter
Huh?
the fully out of Haridasa Thakura's.
What is the gun?
Pardon?
So Haridasa Thakura didn't enter the power because
The guns.
of the military.
We're born a Muslim. No Muslims are allowed in.
Until today.
Yeah.
So I'm not even allowed to enter.
No. No, I'm not allowed in either. Not just Muslims, any non-Hindu. No white man is allowed in. No non-Hindu. Sometimes that happens, but the law is no, they'll beat you if you try to get in. A lot, about a third or 40% of the Brahmins, the devotees there, want to change that, but the majority don't. Because not everyone feels the same way about that. Even the Brahmins who are serving there, many of them are very favourable. But the leaders, or the whatever reason it is, and Prabhupada doesn't. Prabhupada never went in. Maybe when he was young, maybe not after he started mission. He never
Didn't go in because it was
wouldn't go in because his disciples not going in.
Yeah, because he changed that in Vrindavan. Obviously, they
Go
were
there.
much against it, but he revolutionized changed it.
But
In Vrindavan, when he was first went there, also the Brahmanas and the caste creeds were not happy,
they weren't particularly happy with the devotees. They weren't particularly unhappy. They weren't like him poorly.
but they weren't.
No, there's a lot of criticism, and a lot of the criticism were due to the behaviour of the devotees, not just because they were white people.
I see.
They were behaving ridiculously.
Okay.
I mean, they were doing things like stealing fruit
Oh, Prabhupada's is that?
and insulting people and different things.
Prabhupada's is that?
They all knew they knew nothing. They were coming from that background. And the devotees who went to India were like not the best culture devotees. Some of them were, some of them weren't. Also, if anyone wants a little home altar, you can help yourself to these. Nice little altar. The Krishna Balaram.
So Haridasa Thakura, although I think I never even want to attempt to understand how great he is due to his pastimes of transcendence, he's not even considered to be on the same level as us. He's not even considered to be at the same level as us. I mean, other than him being a Nityasiddha Paramahamsa, we consider him as a demigod.
No. More than that. The eternal associate of the Lord is not Shikama Bhakta. Demigods are Jani Sakama Bhakti, Nishkama. Completely beyond the material world. Demigods are working within the material world.
I'm just thinking more of just the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord himself decided for someone like Haridasa Thakura to exemplify his pastimes in the age of Kali, in the Muslim family, in the low-caste creed. Is he maybe trying to communicate a specific message?
Well, if you were here on the first day, I told you. That was fasting on the first day of the Lord. How the Lord initiated him and why he gave him the name and why he asked him to take birth in the Muslim family. Basic purpose of the Lord mission, well, many purposes. One was to fulfill Lord Brahma's wish, that he wanted a birth where he would have no more false ego. This is Mahaprasadam from, some of it is from Ayodhya at the opening of the Ram temple and other temples, holy places in India, if anyone wants some. Little tiny bit, we'll distribute it all now, if anyone wants. Yeah, nobody can estimate the actual level of Haridasa Thakur's position. It's mystifying.
Is someone's built